Hello, I'm Weather from the Summer School Discord, and today I'm going to be walking through a couple of games, and I'm going to be starting with one from a Corki mid. So in this game, like always, I'm going to start by talking about win conditions at the beginning of the game. I think that win conditions are really important to begin thinking about because it tells you what you should be trying to get at lanes you should be getting ahead, which way you should be playing towards rotations or picks, or maybe you can siege, what lanes you can siege against, whether or not the enemy jungler is going to be in early game or what they're going to be trying to do with mid game or anything like that. It gives you a strategy. And having a strategy is really important in the game because it's never just a flash or just the enemy did Baron while someone was bottom. It's never just that instant. Because why was that wave big enough to draw someone bottom? It's always the why, and that always happens minutes ahead of time because of strategy or coincidence. And once you start figuring these things out, it is strategy. So we're going to be talking about win conditions as a part of strategy. First, we're going to look at your team. Your team has a Singed who has a kind of weird team fight where, he just runs around. He doesn't really want to stick in the middle of it too long. An Udyr who wants to dive and be in it for a while. Corki who wants to poke, has a pretty good amount of burst as well. Avaris who has an engage button, which is really great for your team actually, and a pretty reasonable amount of team fight, and a Lulu to support whoever. She's really good in this team comp as well because she's got a speed up for Udyr or Singed. She's also got an ult to make someone tankier, be it you or the Singed or even the Udyr. So your team comp is very well rounded. It wants to look for these kind of awkward team fights where you can just run around people, but you're not always going to get those opportunities, and that the biggest catch here is your Varus. If he ults someone, then you have that opportunity. He can just give you a go button. Okay, so then we're going to look at their team and compare what they want to do. And Ornn has a very solid normal team fight, a good amount of pick potential, great dueling potential as well. Shyvana is going to be wanting to sneak early dragon. She just farms early and then she looks to split push or duel later. Her team fight's okay. Um, Azir has pretty good laning, pretty great team fight as a like AP sustained damage, and he's also got a really good ult for countering your team because he can push people back, of course, right? So your team that just wants to awkwardly run around them, he just ults them away, and you no longer can do that. Zaya is also really good with disengaging because her feathers can root people that are trying to run at her in a straight line. Uh, and Taric makes it so that way, even if you get an ult off from Varus, if you don't kill them right away, Taric's ultimate allows for a very strong re-engage of that fight. Okay, so those are the team comps. You knew what every champion did, but now what does this mean as a part of your win condition? That's the important part. So you have this awkward team fight, and it really depends on kind of who gets fed, whether or not Udyr gets it to the point where he's able to duel the Shyvana, or if Singe becomes enough of a problem to bait up the top matchup. But really, that's not going to be the focus of this game. The focus of this game is being able to kill someone fast enough, honestly. So your focus is going to be you and Varus. And both of you do a lot of AP damage. Even Singe does a lot of AP damage. Even Lulu does some AP damage. So the enemy team is going to be itemizing magic resist. So then once they do that, you really need to make sure either the Varus is far enough ahead so he has a good amount of AD to compensate, or the Udyr somehow gets far enough ahead that he has 80 to compensate. And he also still has to be a little bit tanky because he's not going to have a fun time running at these people. So your focus with your packages needs to be bottom. And your top lane matchup, I would be looking mostly to ignore. Because even though Singed has a pretty good lane here, he's not going to be pivotal to the way your team fights are going to work out. And his role, whether he's fed or whether he's not, is going to be the same. He's going to be annoying with that split push, and he's going to still run away from the fight, right? He's still not going to die past a point, so you don't need to worry too much about him. You also do know that Shyvana wants to be looking for early dragons, so trying to keep an eye on this section with the bottom lane is going to be important. So if you were tracking the enemy jungler, a standard clear for an enemy jungler they finish their second buff around 2.5 to 3 minutes. That means that if the Shyvana is rushing Dragon, she'll probably be doing it at 4 minutes, whether or not slightly before or slightly after. And also, your warding location normally would be somewhere around here, because that way you can check and see if they're going to be coming like this into your lane from their other camps, right? Past 4 minutes, they're no longer going to be on this side of the map because there's nothing else to do here. If they don't gank you by 4 minutes, they're going to recall and go to the other side of the map. But in this case, since it's a Shyvana, you might want to be trying to ward differently. If you warded over here a little bit further, it would show you the same thing, the same gank route, but it would also protect the blast cone route over to Dragon, which is what a lot of Shyvanas would try and do. If they went through the bot lane, you still would not have vision of this, but no matter what you did on this side of the map, you could not get vision of that. That would be more up to your bottom lane to have control of river after a point. If you put a pink ward somewhere, that still wouldn't see with this type of control that you would be able to provide. Alright, so for this lane matchup, you should have the advantage early. Your autos do as much as Azir's do with his soldiers, and you've got a good amount of burst just like he would with Q, and you can reposition a lot easier with your Valkyrie to make it so after he Qs, he can't attack you with his soldiers unless he spawns a new one. Okay, so actually this is a problem. So your early habits are pretty bad. You never want to AFK at turret. Whenever you do this, you're putting your team at a vision disadvantage. Because what happens if they invade over here? Right? Your Udyr's not watching either. Your bottom lane's running to it, perhaps, but you can't count on that. Right? So your bottom lane does end up providing vision over here now, but what if they went this way? Again, like, you see, you're not doing your job to provide vision here. And sure. Your team should be watching out for themselves, or they shouldn't be there, or they should have warded, or whatever. But this is something you can contribute to your team that's super fucking easy. And if you're looking for coaching, that means you're looking for ways to improve, right? And if you're not doing this, then you don't give a damn about improving, because you're not doing everything in your power to win with what you already know. This is incredibly obvious to be providing vision. Now, if everyone was doing exactly what you would do in professional play, right, there would be no blind spots. Like, your AD carry would be here, your support would be here with your jungler, you know, your mid laner would be looking over here, and or straight in the lane, and then the jungler would be standing here, and then this, you know, basically you would have no blind spots. But in solo queue, you have to have room for people not paying attention. Because Lulu's not paying attention, you're not paying attention, Udyr's not paying attention, and Singe is probably just going to walk straight to lane anyways. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So you need to be doing what you can for your team, and it's super fucking easy to do this. Because if they come in early, let me explain why this is a level of importance that gets me to rant about this like this. If they come in early and they steal your jungler's blue buff, right? Well, now his clear isn't easy. He doesn't have a leash, which means he's going to be lower health, which means he can't gank at level 3. And if he can't gank at level 3, then there's a 2v1 top lane because the Udyr can't show up at all. And if there's a 2v1 top lane and Singe dies, now all of a sudden Singe is losing lane. Now the Shyvana has free reign top lane, right? What if instead of going top lane, next time they invaded and they killed the Udyr because they had wave priority top? Or what if they decided to roam down middle? All of these different situations, yes, ifs. But what if your bottom lane blew flash in the process too, right? And then Shyvana ganks bottom before their flashes are up at like 3.5 minutes because she just took blue and then she took red and then she ganked bottom instead, right? Now all of a sudden bottom lane's ahead, which gives her dragon control that she wants, which gives her team a huge lead. Any game your team ever tries to surrender at 15 minutes, right? Those games that seem impossible because of 15 minutes, at 15 minutes. Well, gold snowballs, summoner spells snowball. All of these things get worse. So if you're giving up this window of time, like till 1.5 minutes that you're AFK and you potentially could lose something as fucking easy to defend as this, then you're giving essentially the most vulnerable and impactful time of the game. Because they back with extra summoner spells, with extra items, with extra experience, which means they win lane now, which means they're more likely to get another instance of a lead. They get another kill, they get a turret, they rotate, they get your turret, right? All of these things because of not paying attention level 1. And you know what? Because of that time, that gold being more meaningful early, that first 1.5 minutes is probably around like, I don't know, 1/10 of the 15-minute window. Every game you would try and surrender at 15 minutes, or your team would try and surrender at 15 minutes, probably 1/10 of those are caused by this. Not paying attention level 1 type shit. And it's so easy to defend this. It's so easy to protect this. And if you're not doing this, you're not trying to win. You need to make sure you're defending your base. You need to make sure you're playing with your team. You need to make sure you care. Pick your music out in queue. Pick your music out during loading. Whenever you're in this game, when this clock is fucking going, be in the game. They give you this time window before minions spawn so you can do something in the jungle, so you can have these aggressive plays, not so you can fucking AFK. This is a really, really bad habit. Do not ever do this. Look at how long you're AFK. You haven't tried to get any vision. You haven't provided any vision. You're not trying to defend your team. Alright. So level 1 in lane is also really important with the way you manage this. It decides who's going to get level 2. Positioning decides who's going to be able to trade. This is actually pretty good. Once you saw him put up a soldier looking to get a few autos in, since you have fleet, your extended positioning is kind of bad though. I would have just been looking for 1 or 2 autos. And we're going to go into a little bit why here. So the first obvious thing is minion aggro, right? Don't even pay attention to what damage he does to you yet, right? As soon as you auto him once, those minions chipped you. And those minions chip you again, right? And those minions keep chipping you. Do you see this damage that the minions do to you? That was essentially 1 of your autos, maybe 2 of your autos, that the minions did to you. Now, if you're trying to take that window to trade, great. That is a window you want to look to trade. But if you see what you did here, the reason you went in for this trade was because his soldier was up here. You get your auto, you draw minion aggro, and you step into another one of his soldiers in minion aggro. Now, since he has teleport, he doesn't really have all-in potential, but you also have teleport, which is an all-in potential. So neither of you really should have been looking for this trade. Extended trade. It's going to be a little bit better for you because you have fleet. You're going to be able to heal up a little bit more than he is. But that extended trade, I'm just trying to point out where the fault is in that. You also lose your potential to beat him to level 2 because the minions were attacking you instead of the minion wave. He should basically have an uncontested level lead on you now. You see? Level lead. Now, level lead here is the same thing as what I was talking about with not paying attention to jungle vision, because he's using this to get wave priority, which means he is now going to be the first one to be able to invade. And if he's working with an aggressive jungler, depends who, and in this case, I would not expect this. I would expect the Shyvana to be doing something normal. But what if it was a Shaco, right? Shaco's probably going to be trying to look for something cheeky, like going for this other buff. And by putting wave control like this, where you're forced to stay under your turret and get the CS or lose experience and gold to try and follow, you're at a lose-lose situation. You're either letting them 2v1 or you're falling behind in XP and money. So, don't want to ever get in this situation. You drew the minion aggro too long, which forced him to get level 2 first. You also were not Yeah, and you gave up level 2 for an even trade, essentially. You're also using your potion way too early. You have fleet. You do not need to use your potion this early. You'll heal up naturally. You don't need to be full health in lane. Like, you're going to get your overheal shield, probably. That's a management of resources thing. Yeah, see, there's your overheal shield. You didn't need to put that potion down. Now, whenever he does that and he puts 2 soldiers down and he does look to play aggressive with his Q, you should have a very easy time going in and getting trade damage on him. I would be looking more aggressively at that. You did get a nice Udyr gank in there, and you played that fairly well. Um, but of course, you're both just going to teleport back to lane, so there's no serious lead there. Udyr's getting some work done. 3 kills. I don't know why you're not using your teleport, but at the same time, I do know exactly why. Walking back to lane here, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Because you have a cannon, you're not losing anything. That was a very good save of your teleport. Never mind. Very good. That's actually one of my main complaints about whenever I see top laners use TP. It's like, you could have just walked to lane. Okay, this is a ward I want to talk about. So, wards like this have only one purpose. It is to create ganks or it is to create roams. It has no other purpose because by the time Shyvana gets here, Azir has already ulted you back, and then sure, you can run out this way, right? But you could have ran out this way anyways after he ulted you, and the Shyvana was through these bushes. This ward is not early enough. It is only to set up ganks. It's an aggressive ward. That's what this is. And if you're trying to use this to create roams or ganks, you're putting it on the wrong side. You shouldn't give a damn about this top lane, again, because my thoughts on win conditions, which you can feel free to disagree with. If you feel like getting the Singed ahead will win you the game, go fucking for it. I do sometimes think that it helps a lot to get a Singed ahead, or any top lane. I don't always say to focus bottom. But in this instance, I do think that bottom would be your better focus. And also, dragon control, right? If you were to pink this bush, it allows for you to roam, right? It gives you a little bit more priority in your roams because he can't stop you and doesn't know exactly when you leave. What if you put it over here? Now all of a sudden you see if Shyvana's going over, or even deeper, what if you put it over here, right, where I showed you earlier? Now not only can this be used as an aggressive roaming ward still, like you could package all the way fucking over here, but it's defensive against the dragon. Why else would Shyvana be checking this? There's no reason for them to check this. It's only if they're going to do this. And if the ward dies, that means Shyvana was going to gank bottom or going to gank dragon or something, and that means the ward had value. This ward's not going to see shit. Shyvana's not a type of jungler who is going to gank for this. She's not going to gank like this. She's going to be focusing dragon, and she's going to be focusing farming until she's 6. So at 6, yeah, maybe. Maybe. But it's still too late. You could have had a ward out here. This is a terrible place for a ward unless it is an aggressive ward. And you don't need this type of an aggressive ward in this situation. Your Udyr walked behind, right? That was how he ganked last time. He obviously doesn't care about going through lane like that. Yeah, that's not a good pink ward location. It is a good thing that you bought a pink ward, but you do not know how to use them. This is the same thing as not buying one because you are not going to use this for an aggressive roam. You just aren't. So let's see. See, look where Shyvana came from. So let's go into another nuanced thing about knowing where the enemy jungler is, right? So I'm trying to go back too far, I guess. Let me just use this marker. So Shyvana just ganked top, right? That's what happened up here. I saw her on the mini map. Where the fuck is she? Yeah, Shyvana's top, right? 420. Shyvana's top. And what is Shyvana going to do after this, right? So now we're going to make a couple of assumptions again, right? Assumptions are really important in this game. Well, she doesn't have any buffs. I don't know exactly what happened, but she probably died or something. Maybe they just ran out. Yeah, she did die. So what she's doing up here, right? If she was here, she was probably farming her camps, right? Because she's already died once. So that means she had to come back up here later, a second time, which means she probably was doing at least one camp and then looking for this gank. Had to be. Had to be why she was here. Now, what's she going to do after this? Well, she's going to either clear this other camp and look to gank. Sure, she has a chance of doing that. Or the Shyvana thing of continuing to farm downwards. Now, whenever you see the Udyr down here, if I was the Shyvana, I'd be straight beelining it down to the bottom side of my jungle. Because I need to be here for this. My bottom lane can't do anything without me, right? They end up losing this because they take a stupid fight. There's no reason that they should be doing that. But if the Shyvana was here, moments later, right, they could turn this. So by assuming the Shyvana wants to come down here to help or to farm, and of course in replay, unfortunately, there's cheater vision, so I know like which camps she's cleared. It's kind of unfortunate that that's one of the features of this, but without even knowing that, we know that from earlier, the only reason she'd be top is if she was still farming up there. And if she was doing a, Shyvana clear, she probably did a level 3 or 4 where she got most of these and then was looking to gank. So she probably was just finishing it off and then going for the others. Which I would think that she would even recall to go down here. I wouldn't think that she would have ran down here. I would have thought that she would have recalled and looked for the Krugs and then went look up in a standard clear again. So that's why this ward is bad in another way. But the way that you're positioning in lane right now, assuming that she's still on that side of the map, is good. However, how long is she going to be on that side of the map? And as you noticed, not that long. Right? You end up having to blow flash because she walked around your ward. And it shows you also that this ward is useless. These wards don't show you something until too late. You had to blow flash. Yeah. And if you had a little bit more health because you had a little bit better of a ward, you would have died there. Well, you would have probably still died there, but you would have at least gotten the kill. Which would have saved your Lulu exhaust. Which if your bottom lane now dies, it's your fault. Ooh, there's that good ward I was talking about. And you just saw her walk over it, and you saw her walk over this, and she's right fucking next to you, and you don't pay attention to the wards you put down. So you need to watch the mini-map. That was the most obvious gank. I think that could have happened. She walked over this ward, walked towards your lane, out of vision, was sitting in these brush. You have no flash. Why would she not gank you? You need to watch the mini-map, and this was the most incredibly obvious and most beautiful, beautiful spot you could have caught her, right? And you die for no reason. Your Udyr is so fed. Man, your Udyr knows how to put down some vision. That's good vision. So this catches these. This one that you had down is a really good ward also. This is a good ward. Because this catches the Shyvana whenever she's rotating down this way or doing a camp. And with the Udyr's extended vision of this, would catch her if she's going this way, or even sometimes if she's going this way for an instant. So you had very good vision coverage down here until, of course, this ward died. But that's a great spot. These are terrible spots. Don't ever put wards there unless you're trying to control the lane. And you see why. You fucking died. You saw the Shyvana, it was too late. You also saw the Shyvana here, and you just apparently weren't paying attention. So let's talk about this, right? Cause yeah, it goes wrong, but we need to always talk about why it went wrong. So let's start by looking at when you roam and how you roam with their vision. Your playstyle up until this point has non-stop been in this lane and pushing. You've been shoving up here. And you're missing. And they see that there are 3 people bottom. And they see that Xayah's low. Of course you're going bottom. Now you did manage to set up a lose-lose situation so that the Azir didn't want to leave right away. Okay. But he still can come now, right? He still can come now. And look where you are right now. So you're halfway down there. But all of these instances, right? So you have a very obvious roam coming down here. That's why they've backed off. Partially because of the Udyr, of course. Partially because of you missing. The spam Mia's come down. And the Shyvana's down here. Now, how would you know the Shyvana's down here, right? How could you have known that? Well, let me show you. This. When you put this down, and you see the Shyvana's over here, right? You need to play by camps. You can know where the enemy jungler is going to be based off of camps. So you saw that she went top. You know that these raptors are spawning. Shyvana's obviously clearing top. She's going to base. She's going to go bottom. It's just what she's going to do. You know this camp's up. You saw she went top. Even if she doesn't base, she's going to walk bottom, and she's going to take this camp. She's going to still be walking bottom. So you know Shyvana's going to be there soon. Not right away, of course. So if this happens quick enough, it's fine. But you roam very obviously, in a very obvious way, and you know that Shyvana's going to be down here soon. Azir could follow you if you wanted to, but instead he decides to just shove this wave. And you miss your Q, and then your team kind of plays this fight a little bit weirdly, where they are all running out into the turret. This was a kind of bad kite by them, when really everyone should have been trying to kite up here. But, you know, whatever. At this point, Azir's missing. There's Azir. He's coming down. At this point, you're dead. Well, probably. The way this fight's going, right? You're getting flanked now. Azir could have been here probably 20 seconds earlier if he wanted to. You end up losing this wave because your roam took too long. You roamed really obvious, so they knew to back off. You roamed when Shyvana should have been bottom. And you extended your roam duration, allowing her to show up, allowing the Azir to show up, right? Azir's going to be able to get an assist on this one, probably. No? Okay. No, he did get an assist. And now Shyvana gets that dragon she wanted. Let me check your Valkyrie. I would have packaged right away. Yeah, you hold your package way too much. It's a zoning tool more than anything else. It does a great amount of damage, but the slow is why you use it. You could have saved your Udyr there. You probably could have killed the Shyvana and chased the Shyvana. You had enough health and stuff to potentially even turn on the rest of that fight. Yeah, that was a poor Valkyrie. And your macro choice of when to roam was you roamed in their vision in a very obvious way. You were straight up walking down. If you wanted to walk back, it would have looked like you were potentially recalling, but you just teleported back to lane. You wouldn't do that. It was obvious you were roaming. You picked a time when Shyvana should have been bottom, and it was obvious that she should have been bottom, and you extended your roam long enough to allow her to be down there. And how did you extend your roam, right? Well, you extended your roam by a simple thing as missing a skill shot, because that required your team to come and back you up. If you were able to take that by yourself, you guys could have ran out this way, and you would have been flanked by the Azir even still, and you would have probably died, right? The time window you chose to do this, mostly, yeah, Ornn TP'd great. You chose to do this when you knew that you could have the Shyvana down here. You're between two of their turrets. You had no vision in their jungle to support this. You had no wave control, really, because you did force the Azir to stay here a little bit longer, but he obviously was able to push it all the way into your turret and still showed up for at least one assist. You could have left much sooner if you wanted to. Or not at all and gotten a lot of turret damage. This is a much better roam. That's a window what he would expect you to be recalling. You know, Azir's following. Yeah. That was a good turn on the gank, and that was a good timing to start your gank. You hit some stuff, which was good. And again, it was the window. It looks like you were recalling. He didn't throw out any missings, and then he followed instead of pushing because Udyr was here. You took the jungler's job by going bottom there, and that was a great play. You had wave control. You chose to time to recall, or not recall, but fake recall, essentially, with your roam. That's really important. And you're focusing bottom, which is exactly what I wanted you to do, but it then also shows you the uselessness of the ward that was over here. Shyvana ganked you from the bottom of your lane. You've been going bottom this entire time. There was no reason for you to put it up there. You put it again. No! No. You don't understand how to ward. You don't understand how to ward at all. These are terrible wards. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're doing nothing. I would stay for turret here. Oh. Yeah, well, I would have stayed for turret. I would not have expected that. And what could you have done? If you warded up here, you would have seen that. Because guess where they came from? Right? They did actually, you did get pinged out, so I should have seen that too. But look, you could have seen this. with your own ward that you don't pay attention to. You need to so pay attention to rotations and roams. You don't watch the main map nearly enough. It's like driving. You need to use your mirrors. If you don't use your mirrors, you're literally asking to die in real life. Especially if you're like me and you're in DC. You're asking to die with the way that you're warding, with the way that you don't look at your mini-map. You could have so far prevented 2 of your deaths, which would have given you a significant lead in lane if you didn't die both of those times. Not in lane, but also in game. This is a very free-looking collapse. You don't know where exactly the Shyvana is. Positioning here is a little bit bad, but I see you were trying to get on the Xayah. It's still pretty free. Yeah. They blow their summoners, and you guys still get the kill. Now, they're probably trying to regain control of bottom side right now. Azir just pushed this in. They're probably looking to do Dragon because it's a Shyvana. Look at that. Easy, easy prediction. You should be pinging that. Understand what they're going to do. Put your wards in a way that helps prevent that. What if your ward was over here, right? You would have seen the Shyvana walking down again and done something. Your wards show me you do not know why to ward. Your mini-map unawareness is also huge. Fun fact, if you get stunned while channeling Herald, it cancels the Herald. So sieging here, right? You actually never need to siege. You never need to siege. You need to be playing a lot of the times to rotations. And if you're looking at the map right now, right? If you're looking at the map, you're down a person. Your Varus is dead. And you're looking to siege. Do you see what your team does? They back off your turret, great. And you chase. And now you guys want to siege. Right? No. So look at bottom right now, right? Bottom wave is going to push to them really hard. Top wave is also pushing. You don't have to siege. You have to wait. Because right now, your waves are getting set up in a way that is going to require them to respond to this. They're going to send someone over to this. They no longer want to siege this turret because they see this minion wave and someone wants to go to it. Wait. Wait for them to leave for that minion wave, or wait for them to lose that minion wave. If they lose that minion wave, you've already won the situation, right? You're getting a gold lead off of them just not being there, getting an XP lead off them not being there. So you wait till they leave for this, or alternatively, if the wave is in a good enough spot and you have the kind of right of way to do it, you rotate over to that wave and you take the turret over there. And oftentimes, they're not in a position to follow. In this context, you can't actually do that because they would just be able to hard push down mid and get your mid turret, and probably even more because they have the man advantage right now, and the rotation through this jungle would be pretty risky for your team, or even in the other direction, but your minion wave isn't here. So you can't rotate in this situation. But you can wait. And by pushing up this far, you're asking to die. Like, look at how your Udyr gets engaged on. All he needed was to get rooted here, or you get stunned here, right? You can't take this fight. Actually, the Azir left. Well, the Azir decided not to be there. My bad. He could have come mid. He decided to go top. That's funny. Where was this Azir? I want to see. So, Azir just respawns and goes top. Yeah. Okay, that's what he does. So I would have just waited for this. I thought he was going to come mid because you guys were going to fight. But since he didn't, yeah, this is great. I thought he was going to go for the team fight. So yeah, you guys basically waited because he decided to go for the other wave. Like what I said, this was a lose-lose situation for them, and they sent someone over here. You just need to create more situations like this. Because that was your team creating that situation. And yeah, so there's the payback for what was happening earlier, right? So again, you're man down, but this was because Varus is over here. It's the exact same context as the Azir being alive, but deciding to go over here. You won the fight over here, or rather at this outer turret, because the Azir decided to go up top lane. And in reality, if he had come mid, you would have lost the fight earlier. But now it's in reverse. A full HP Azir comes to this fight while, Varus is not. Varus is not there. So of course you're going to lose this. And it's so obvious that he's coming over. And there's no reason for you to chase. You already got your objective. Are you really going to stay for another turret? No, you're going to stay for kills and you're going to base. Kills are meaningless because all kills are is giving you the potential to get an objective later. That's all they are. They give you gold, which lets you, it makes you more likely to get something later. But in a situation like this, sure, if Singe gets a great flip, then yeah, maybe you kill this one person, maybe you kill the Ornn too, but you still base. And you base when they're up now. Like they have the Azir ready to push something. They have the Shyvana who's probably able to base in the background and go and push something. And this turret is basically gone then because your team overextends for this kill, has to recall at and then you lose an objective in response, is what I'm saying. Kills are meaningless unless you can get something afterwards, and in this context, you can't stay for this turret after you get these kills. These are just kills, and you are taking a chance because you don't know where the Azir is anymore, and you're all very low. It's an unnecessary fight because it leads to nothing. Yeah, you deserve that. Okay, so what you should be doing after this, you need to be kind of looking for Baron control already. Because at 18 minutes, that means that your ward is going to last until Baron spawns, basically, 1.5 minutes. And that's whenever people are going to be starting to set up for this. Shyvana is a very strong jungler, Azir is a very strong mid laner, and Xayah is a very strong AD carry to be taking an early Baron. So now you also have this huge wave down bottom. So if you're setting up control in this area, you know it's probably pretty safe to set up control in this area. This is where you put down your pink wards. This is where you start creating your pressure on this side of the map. So that way, whenever you see someone show up fucking bottom, you just take the Baron. You just start it. You do it. And you don't give them the opportunity to, because also look at your team. You've got double AD carries and an Udyr. You can take an early Baron. You can do that too. Baron's really not hard to do. It's not. You just need to make sure you don't get caught doing it. And if you do get caught doing it, that you can turn on the fight. And this is the situation you created, probably unintentionally, to make it so that way they have a lose-lose situation. They can test you up here, or they go in CS. And Xayah is actually coming down here pretty early to be doing this. So Varus is going to fix this wave again. This is actually really good by Varus to be... I don't know if that wave is fixed. It probably is. But he wants this slow pushing, and then Xayah comes down again. Man, they're fighting over this control. That's actually really good habits, though. because Baron is coming up soon. So looking over for this is pretty good, because whenever earlier you saw that the Ornn was top and very, very low, he wasn't going to be showing up to this fight. So you had probably a 3v2. It was unlikely that Taric was up here because the Xayah was bottom. Yeah, Taric's bottom too. You know that you have the numbers advantage, so this is a very, very good fight. Yeah, that was a good play too. Here you need to be getting wave control. You need to be going top lane. Varus is already getting control of mid wave. Xayah is bottom. So the safest lane for you as a team to rotate to is top lane and push this in. Going mid allows the Xayah to come to it. Going top would prevent that from happening. Yeah. You allowed the Xayah to show up by meeting her midway. If, as a team, you ping this wave, assist me, right? You get this Varus off, and you make it so that way he doesn't take this fight. He takes this fight because you guys are coming, basically. Corki is on the way. You pinged this fight. Corki is asking for assistance. You pinged this fight. You called for this fight whenever you didn't need to. Again, look at what's happening here. Xayah's down here, and you're meeting her in the middle. If you're rotating away from someone, you can always play to rotations to create numbers advantages. It takes her twice as long to go top lane, and it takes you half as long to go top lane. You can get this wave pushing in and be here by the time Xayah gets over to, like, here, right? And then you have your Baron control already because you've set up these wards so you can start playing with Fog of War and setting up fights again. You really don't need to be looking for it in mid lane. And as I said, you have an awkward team fight. You don't want these perfect team fights. They have a lot of DPS, and they have a lot of tanking potential. Your team looks for skirmishes and burst and picks. You don't want these full-on team fights. They have one person who wants to skirmish. Everyone else wants team fights, basically. And now you got this wave control issue going on down here. If you have package up, I would be going down for this and then using potentially your package to get back to the Baron as soon as you get up. Because Varus being down here is going to guarantee that they're going to do it. Yeah, you see how easy it is? It's 20 minutes and people are starting Baron. And you even have control over it, which is kind of funny. So having package to come over to this immediately is great. But as I was saying earlier, right, everything has setup. It's never just that one wave. Remember at the start of this game, it's never that one wave that loses you Baron. Because whenever someone goes bottom to catch this wave, it's right here that this play is happening. They're setting up that slow push right here, 19 minutes. This is what's setting up that play. And at what instant is Baron lost? I'll show you exactly when it's lost. I'll show you exactly when it's lost. Right here. You see those pings? Do you want to look at the positioning, the macro positioning right now? Your Singed is over here. Half your team's here. You're engaging on a 2v2 with Xayah showing up next. You choose this fight. And if you lose this fight at this point in time, you give up Baron control. Because they set up this wave to require attention. And you're dead. So whenever you respawn, you're going to be walking down here. Or you're going to be going to Baron and losing something anyways, and then they just back off. You chose this fight at a man disadvantage when Baron was spawning. You need to be a lot more careful because, again, the only point of kills is what you can get after. And you already had vision control of this area to bait fights. You could have gotten wave control of top wave to split their team and get a rotation where you had control of vision. But instead you choose to go for this 2v2 and watch it quickly turn into a 3v2, and they have combat summoners and you don't. Or, well, the Xayah does, and they also had an exhaust, which they probably used. But, yeah, you chose that fight. You got to be a lot more careful with macro objectives, team-wide positioning, and wave management, because you're watching this down here, right? You know where your Singed was going to fix this, but he ended up having to use his TP to go to that, and you still lost that fight. And it was a good idea for you to show up to this, and I don't really like reviewing team fights too much because, in my mind, team fights are kind of a coin flip. You have some impact on a team fight, and your team has some impact on a team fight, and their team has some impact on a team fight. And generally, it's about a coin flip. Because if it's a 5v5, maybe they get the pick on your ADC, maybe you get the pick on their ADC, whatever happens, you know, it's a coin flip. I don't really like reviewing team fights. But I will mention again, it was a great use of your package to rush this. I was mentioning going bot wave, and you seeing them all on Baron and rushing here was a much, much better idea. You managed to kill almost all of their Barons. They still ended up winning on that trade, though, because Baron is 300 gold each, so you'd have to kill their entire team to make it even, basically. And now they still have that macro pressure going on because the Shyvana can split push now or group with Baron. Okay, let's look at this again. So, you need to know what the enemy team is doing and what your team is doing and where you can get objectives, right? So you just saw them pushing bottom. You also are seeing them now pushing top, and you probably didn't know to show up top right away because this was creating wave pressure for you, right? You didn't need to show up to this. But whenever you see the Shyvana do this, right? Why would Shyvana be going top right now? Well, Shyvana normally wants dragons. So the only reason Shyvana would be going top right now is if the team is trying to group for the top turret. That's the only thing that makes sense. So whenever you see the Shyvana going top, I would be assuming that 4 people are at least are top. And Azir does end up going mid, and Xayah does show up bottom. So I am wrong here. I'm going to admit that I'm wrong. But this was their intent to go for this tower. And they do get a kill. I don't think you would have been able to stop that. And you die? What? Coin flips. If you're taking fights, like this where there are no advantages, it's a coin flip. Are you fed enough to be doing this? Yeah, maybe. Is he fed enough to be doing this? Probably. You're the same. Give or take a little bit, you're the same. Look, their team as a whole has more gold than you, so where does that gold come from, right? Generally, it comes from turrets or barons. And they got a baron on you. 300 extra gold for him. That's like 1 kill that he's behind you. I think you're even on turrets right now. Yeah, you're even on turrets. So it's just that you guys are even in gold, and you're taking a coin flip. There is no advantage here. You have no numbers advantage. He didn't just use any cooldowns. Like, look at this. Look at how he's doing to the wave, right? He didn't use his Q. He's already got... Oh, he did use his Q. Yeah, but that shows you it's too late because of the CDR on it. And he only had 1 soldier down that he moved, so he could spawn 2 more. Yeah, there was no reason to be looking for that. And you have no magic resist, so it's not like you're dueling him. You would be trying to burst him. Get some poke down first. You're Corki. And the point of a kill, again, is just what you get after. But you could have been top. You let this turret die. You could have defended this, right? This was important too. And if you could have defended this, it's the same thing as getting something in to a large extent. But more importantly, you gave them the potential to get more. Because, you know, Singe does show up mid to try and help you, right? He runs away with Azir. And that's why they get Dragon. But if I was them, I would have said, fuck the Dragon and go for this extra turret. They could have gotten 2 turrets off this play, and they still can. Because look at these death timers, right? The Varus died unrelated to you, I'll admit. You died of your own accord again, to your own shot calling, of just wanting to fight. You need to be... one of the best things I think that would help specifically you is to try and stop looking for 1v1s, 2v2s, or 5v5s, or anything where it's even. Any numbers that are the same, stop. Before you go into a fight, you need to count 2 ways, and you need to count both of these ways every time before you decide to do anything in a fight, because you're the one who's calling these fights. You're deciding to do these fights, which means that every fight that you lose, that Baron that you lost, this fight that you lost, it's your fault. Count 2 ways, these 2 ways. First, what is the maximum amount of enemies that will be there? Not the amount that you see, the maximum amount that will be there. And if you don't have good assumptions yet, because you don't know how to track the enemy jungler, so maybe you don't know where the Shyvana is, right? Then that means that during laning phase, it's always going to fucking be 2. They have 2 enemies. 2. If you know where she is, it's 1. Okay? Team fights, where you were going in on this, it was a 2v2, and it was quickly going to be a 3v2, so you know that the maximum here, right, maximum, was a 3. The second way you count is the minimum for your team. This is to make sure that your support isn't running away from you or your jungler is not going to ward something, because you lost that earlier fight because you thought your team was coming, but you weren't counting minimum. Minimum in this case is who is literally there. And it was you and Varus. That's it. So you were picking this fight after you count a 2v3. Before you pick any of these fights, what will help you the most is only go in when, after counting these ways, you have a numbers advantage. Otherwise, don't do it. Because you don't know how to judge fights. You took the fight on the Azir and you lost, right? There was no advantage there. You took the fight over here on the Azir and the Taric and the Xayah, and you lost. You don't know how to judge fights whenever it comes to stuff like this, so count and only engage when you have these numbers advantages, and then extend this, right? Extend this a little bit. How do you create these numbers advantages? I was talking about it a little bit earlier where I was saying, for starters, wait whenever you're sieging, right? You had wave control. It was pushing in on you top lane, or pushing in on them. And your bottom wave was drawing their AD carry down there and their Taric down there, and they were like, you know, they were doing shit down here too, right? Once you have these numbers advantages created through these minion wave manipulation things and rotations, where you can then go from mid-wave, as I said, you could have potentially looked to rotate to one of these, right? That's where you create your numbers advantage. They're all still trying to defend this thing. And then you're like, oh, actually, we're over here now, right? And then they got to walk safely, so they're all like running around like this, right? And then the turret's half health. And then you do that one more time and it's dead. You don't have to take risky fights, and you never have to take, in solo queue, you never have to take an even fight. You always can set up advantages. It's really surprisingly easy. And it's just wave manipulation and counting. Wave manipulation, counting, and rotations. So I believe Corki is on the way. This is another fight that you called. Right? This is another one of your fights. 2? But are you counting? Right? Where's your ping? Where's your ping again? I want to see this. Okay, so you got 3 here. And you got your Corki is on the way. So, okay. Oh. But that's right, we're counting maximum. What's the maximum? Oh, well, that makes a lot more sense, right? Because whenever you're counting maximum, you start to see that you don't actually have an advantage. And whenever you start counting maximum, you'll know which fights not to take. Because then it will also tell you to look at the mini-map, because that's another one of your problems. You have wards that show you Shyvana's here, and you still get ganked somehow as she walks to your lane. And your wards over on these sides, the reason that you put them there is because you think you're defending yourself, because you don't look at your wards and you don't realize how helpful a good ward is. Because truthfully, your playstyle shows me you don't care. You're just looking for these fights. 1v1, 1v2, whatever it is. Fight. You don't have to. Rotate. Pick a smart fight. Now, in this context, you could still potentially win because of health bars, but it's now a 4v4, and you don't have that advantage you were looking for earlier, right? And now if you're looking at extending this into positioning, I don't know why the Tarek's way over there, but you're alone in the middle of their team, so you're definitely dead. Oh, unless they... Okay, he turn around. All right, I thought the Ornn was going to turn on you. Yeah. Okay, so you still did end up dying, but your positioning in team fights needs some consideration. You did not need to die for that kill because, again, what does a kill do? Once you rehearse this, you'll understand. It gets you the potential to get something later. What are you going to get up here? You're going to defend this turret. That's all you're going to get at this instant. You're going to defend this turret because you're not fucking going to push all the way over to this wave. In reality, someone probably wants to go over to this wave. In reality, you're probably eventually going to go back to your normal. Look where all these... You're not going to get anything. They're going to respawn. So you're literally trading a life for a life, gold for gold, for no macro positioning, and you're not going to get anything. Even if you wipe them here, even if you wipe them, you're not going to get anything. And whenever you are willing like this to sacrifice yourself, you're relying on your team to play the rest of the fight out correctly, which generally you shouldn't do because you individually believe you deserve to climb, right? So you individually think you're better than the people you're playing with, so you individually should try to stay alive to make sure you're there for the important moments. Now, that would be a closing out this fight type of thing. Alright, so that was kind of a lose-lose situation because you ended up losing probably a kill's worth of gold down here. But you did end up winning that fight and getting a considerable amount of kills. So it was overall good, but it was a very risky fight. And you don't have to take risky fights. You never have to do a coin flip. Because they're ahead in gold even. The only reason that they won, or rather you guys won that fight, was because Tarek for some reason was way over here. If he was able to peel for Xayah a little bit whenever you were diving in the middle of the team, right, would have been pretty different. They were diving instead of peeling off. Alright, well, Tarek was at least. The rest of the team thought about peeling off and then died. Okay, so looking at timers at this point in the game, right, I don't actually know when exactly Dragon or Baron spawn, but it's neither of those spawn for a considerable amount of time. So there's no real focus or location for you as a team to be. For you to all be grouped right now isn't really necessary. I would be trying to get this wave moving. You're showing up as if you're... Maybe you just really wanted to make sure you got blue buff. Is that it? Okay, yeah, they were leashing you blue. Okay. Are they leashing you Scuttle too? Is that what's happening? Oh no, you gave them Scuttle. Alright, you nice guy. But, you really need to be getting wave priority because create a lose-lose situation. Singe was just pushing in this wave, right? So if you were pushing in this wave, there's probably like a 50% chance Shyvana would have wanted to come middle to try and kill you. Well, you push this wave in once, you know, you get a ward at the Raptors because it's easy, it's over the wall, it's safe. You see Shyvana trying to loop around, you back off. Shinji gets a little more pushing going, and he gets some damage on this turret. You create a situation where they don't know exactly where to respond to because there's pressure everywhere. Udyr was just in the top side of the jungle, so he could easily be going top, or he could even be coming mid if this wave starts pushing enough. Or after you guys start pushing this in, you could all rotate bottom to this massive wave. But you don't have any wave priority, and the reason you don't have wave priority is because you didn't push up enough to get vision, because you instead decide to go path around like this as 3, and then you decide to go around like this, and you decide to go up, and you decide to back off again. As a team, you guys are not looking for any vision like this, and you don't have any wave control to give you free vision. Wave, that shows you where they are. Every time they're in a wave, you know where they are. You know where the Shyvana is right now. You know where the Ornn is. There are 3 mid, right? This is you counting 3, right? Counting minimum, you're also only at 3 right here. But you do have the potential to get a pick off. You do have the potential to rotate. However, the longer you spend right here doing exactly this, the worse it gets because Shyvana is just going to keep pushing. And after Shyvana gets up to this tower, you're at a like serious lose-lose situation. And again, you don't all need to be grouped here. Singe probably should be going bottom again soon. So you need to be getting something either now, soon, or you're not going to get something at all. And you don't have very good vision to be making these plays safe because for this whole time you don't know where Shyvana is, which is kind of reasonable. But there she is, right? And now you guys, yep, see Singe uses his teleport to go bottom. That was your time to try and do something. But you had no vision up here, you had no vision in lane, and you guys were all too afraid to be on the wave in a 3v3 situation. You don't have to engage, but you do have to be there. You know, you have to see them. You have to know what fight you're going to be able to set up. If the Udyr can flank, right? But he doesn't know if he's flanking someone or if their whole team's waiting over here if you have no vision on any of them. But yeah, your vision control this game has been really lackluster. And now look at this kind of situation. Counting, right? Right? 1 and 5. No, not 5. Where's Singed? He's over here. Oh, that is 5. So you guys definitely need to take this fight because you're going to lose tower otherwise. And you need to make sure you take this fight now, trade the tower, win the fight, and take another tower in response while sending people back to defend this. If you don't do this immediately, then they're just going to get an objective and disengage this for nothing. For free. Where are all of your pings that you used to be doing? And now this fight's extended too long. Now Shyvana's got an inhib turret. And an example here again of like what could have happened. Like what would you have gotten if you killed them here, right? If you killed them here, realistically, you probably all still base to stop the Shyvana from getting an inhib, right? That's probably what's going to happen. So these kills don't mean that much, and you're willing to flash for it. And now look, your team as a whole stays, because now they can potentially look to turn this. And look, now you can't even defend this turret. You had your window to recall, and you gave it up to try and look for another kill. You don't plan ahead. You just look for fights. You don't have vision control. You don't care about objectives that are spawning. You don't care about where the enemy team is, whether or not your team is looking for something else over here, and you just look for the fights. Always count before you go in and start focusing on side waves. Corki is a great champion to clear side waves. Static Shiv and 1 phosphorus bomb and the wave is dead. Then you go back mid, or you go back wherever the fuck else it is. You don't need to always be mid, and that's all you do. You don't know where to be because you don't know how to manage waves. That's why you decided to walk around this way, because you don't know how to manage waves. And a lot of the reason you're pathing super safe is because you don't know where they are, because you don't know how to ward. Baron just spawns and you're recalling. Look at your inventory. You have a ward. You don't care about objectives. At this point, you seriously have given up the game. The Udyr even knows that you've given up the game. He gives you a question mark and assists me. By recalling here, you're either completely oblivious or you've given up the game. And I'm going to go with giving up the game because you have to have known that Baron was spawning. And to say that you couldn't contest it, you weren't that far behind. Look at the gold. Right before Baron, right? You guys are behind 2.5k, right? That's nothing. What is 2.5k to if you get a Varus ult on the Azir, right? The Azir's dead and it's the end of the story. Doesn't matter if you have that much of a lead, 2.5k, because then whenever a fifth of their gold is dead, Now all of a sudden you have a 10k gold lead. Fights change really quickly with a pick. And by not trying to set up any vision over here, right? Not trying to be present for this fight, you're giving up Baron, you're giving up a gold lead for a very contestable fight. And I know that you're saying like, right, oh, bottom lane was down there and stuff. Well, Corki has range to poke. You could have been throwing rockets over here. They don't have a whole lot that should be able to instantly engage on you with your Valkyrie. You give this up. You've given up the game. And, like, for example, Udyr didn't have a ward. Even if you had just warded over the edge to give him the potential to steal, that would have helped. Alright, and now they're basically just going to group and close it out because their team fight is better than your team fight. You want to look for skirmishes, and they're probably just going to siege something and then dive. Oh, no, they're splitting? Okay. This is actually a really good fight to take. At the same, it is a good fight to take. It really is, because 3 of them are down here and 3 of you are up here. Unfortunately, it's kind of just the nature of a couple of these champions, right? Azir is very good at DPS. Orange very good at tanking. Kind of just what happens. It's really hard. But also, since you took that fight and you chose to chase this long, right, this is what you lose. And this shows me, again, that you don't care about objectives. Because what were you going to get chasing this down, right? You were going to defend this turret. That's it. You were going to defend an outer, right? That's it. And that's good. But by extending this fight, it shows me you're not trying to defend an outer. You're just trying to get kills. You've already forced them off by the time they leave at this point. Right? They left. And then you keep fighting and you keep fighting and you keep fighting, of course, because you've committed to it. And you lose inhib. And yeah, you basically lose the game here. Do you lose the game? Yeah, you lose the game. Alright, so again, highlighting things. You need to count, you need to work on your vision. 2 major things that are specifically problems with your gameplay. Your vision control is abysmal. You don't know how to ward because your wards that you're putting here and here don't do anything to protect you. They don't. Those are only for controlling your lane. And the ward you put over here was the only ward I really liked that you did this game. Because this gave you your team knowledge and it still defended you. It was something that let you track the Shyvana, and it let you know that your roam bottom would have her there after a little while. You knew she was going to be there. You also have problems with your decisions on when to trade. You extend your trades out too long. And you also use your potion, which is like a resource management thing. For your specifically like laning phase, I would worry a lot more about minions whenever you're like minion aggro when you're playing things like Corki, because you extend your trades thinking you're just going to heal back, but then whenever you're healing back with fleet footwork, you burn your potion super early, and you used your overheal. Like, you can see the shield. That shows you didn't need it. You bought like 1 or 2 pink wards. You bought like 2, and you put them both at the shit spot. I hate this spot. Don't ward this. You don't track the Shyvana very much because both whenever you literally see her and she comes to you, and knowing that she probably would have ganked you from the side the first time, it shows me that you're not tracking her. You take a lot of aggressive fights, and your aggressive fights like you chasing this whole thing, you diving into the middle of their team to get a kill. Over here, whenever you pinged on the 2 versus 3, your roam down here, these are all really aggressive calls, and you're never really sure if they're going to work out, right? Because, for starters, you're not thinking about objectives. Always plan ahead. Plan ahead. Baron was coming up. If you died there, They got an uncontested Baron. If you killed someone there, sure, you got the same thing, but do you really want to coin flip that? Do you want to coin flip the game? Well, if you coin flip the game, you're going to have a 50% win rate, which means you're going to be exactly at the same spot forever. Don't coin flip a game. Plan. That's how you get above a 50% win rate. You don't have to coin flip anything. And set up these waves, right? These rotations that demand attention. Set up the man advantage. That's the reason you won that first fight that I was pointing out that could have been bad. The Azir was top, responding to the thing. And you as Corki only run down mid. You only go mid past a certain point in the game. You went to stop this turret from dying. Yes, I'll give you that. And you roamed bottom once. Yes, I'll give you that. But you never managed waves in other lanes, and you could have, which means that you need to worry about adding that to your skill set. Because that time that, your Singed was bottom or your Varus was bottom picking up these waves and you lost Barons, that could have been you stopping that situation from happening. I would also be looking... your item build was fine. I also don't really care about talking with item builds. Positioning and stuff in team fights, I don't really care about going too much into positioning in team fights. Because everyone kind of knows that whenever they make a mistake on those two things, I think that people know that, because whenever you die in a fight, you know that wasn't a good move. But why wasn't it a good move? Because you're important to keep alive, and you weren't going to get anything after killing them, just gold. So you traded evenly, and you were guaranteed to die there. Doing that, you were guaranteed to die. So it was you did not need to coin flip it. Gold for gold is even, which is a coin flip, 50-50. You need to look at your minimap, not just vision control as a whole. You do need to work on vision control, but your minimap, you need to see the Shyvana over here. Your predictions of where people are going to go is okay, except for you don't watch your own team. You gave up on your attempts to roam bottom after your first one kind of failed. No, actually, you came bottom twice. I'll give you the second one. The second one was a great roam because you did it in the fog of war. And reminding you that that kind of a roam where you could fake a recall means that no Mia pings come out. Also, if you're watching waves, sometimes you can pay attention to when the bottom lane wards and where they ward, so that way you know that it's a safe roaming path. But I wasn't paying attention to that this game, so I don't know for certain if that was the case. Yeah, but anyways, that's all I really got for this game. And after this, I'm probably done for the night. All right.